All right. Well, I'm super excited today to hang out with Kelsey, who's a salon owner, a 13-year national educator with John Paul Mitchell Systems, and she just has an amazing soul. You can tell already just by her smile. So, welcome, Kelsey.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I want to talk about your salon
Yeah.
because in your bio, I didn't want to read it because I want you to kind of explain what you talk about your salon because I think um, you had the idea before our culture made it kind of the norm now. So kind of talk about the background of your salon and your journey and how it came about.
Wow, absolutely. So I've been a stylist for going on 14 years now, and ever since I don't know, even since I started in the work field, I always knew ownership was going to be a part of my journey. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't know where I was going to get there, but I knew I had to do something bigger than myself. And when I first went to college, I went to school actually for fashion design. And that obviously that journey wasn't for me. When I fell in love with the hair world, I just knew this was the place that I had to make a difference. And really honest to God, when I started with Paul Mitchell, so I've been an educator for 5 years with Paul Mitchell, and my one of my very first meetings was with Stephanie Kochelski. And I saw her at a hair show, and she just, I mean, we all know Stephanie. She just lights up any place that she's in. And I sat there in the front row and I said, yeah, this is what I need to do. This is the culture that I need to be a part of. And from that moment forward, I knew I had to make a difference, especially being within the company, because their biggest role is creating philanthropy throughout the world and through different people. And how can we reach that to our local communities? And so when I was in a toxic environment, I knew that that was the last stand for me. It was time for me to make a difference. I didn't have a plan B. I didn't have another option. It was, I have to create this, not only for myself, but for the people that I care about, for the stylists that I care about, and to really build a team that was developed around positive and healthy culture. So when pandemic and life hit, I was coming back to a workplace and I was like, no, things have to change. Things have to be different. And I was approached at that point to open a salon. And like I said, there was no plan B. There was no other options. It was like ride or die. You have to do this. And from that moment forward, I was so gung-ho about like, how do I do this the correct way? How do I do this in building a culture from the get-go and building a foundation from the get-go, again, not only for myself but for a team of stylists coming in. And so I really set out to talk with coaches. So Tracy Potacek, being part of Tina Black's culture on the podcast and her community, reaching out to salon owners that I knew, Stacy Rackham, and so many other amazing educators that I was like, and Lisa Carr. I called them all the very next day after I was approached to opening salon. I was like, here's all my information. What do I do? So they really stepped in and helped me, as a friend, to be able to build my foundation. And I'm so happy. So we just celebrated our 1 year of being open. We're fully staffed. I have an incredible team of stylists, and we're really reaching to do something different with our community and create a safe space and a safe haven for everyone.
I love that. You mentioned so many things that I wrote down here because one of the things that we talk about in Next Level Salon Leadership is we talk about the power of a foundation. And I love that you said that that's where you started and you reached out to everybody. So kind of talk about the foundation that you built and some of those steps that you went through.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I knew I had to create was something, again, bigger than myself. I didn't know what that picture was meant to be painted as, but I just knew it wasn't for me. And when I reached out to my mentors, the first thing that they said, what do you want your identity to be? What do you want your culture to be? Before anything, before you start picking out the pretty wall colors, before you start picking out the beautiful stations and the aesthetic that you're going for, you need to sit down and write down, what do you envision your culture to be? And so for me, that was my very first paragraph. My very first opening was, okay, I need to create a baseline for not only team members, but for our guests coming in to be able to have a safe space for all. When I came up with the brand Infinite Designs, I truly mean that to the heart and core and foundation of everything we believe in, that the possibilities are endless, the possibilities are infinite, to be able to allow everyone that walks in through this door to feel their infinite best. And so that was really the foundation that I mapped out with my mentors. And then from that point on, we broke down, okay, what does this point mean? What does this point mean? How are you going to get there? And from that point on, it was just class after class, mentorship after mentorship of building a base of a healthy foundation.
I love that you reached out and really discovered the power of a network and the
For sure.
power of mentors. And what I love about mentors is that they're where you want to get. Like they help shorten that gap of
Absolutely.
experience. Like
Yes.
they're 20 years ahead. So all those
Yes.
mistakes that they've made, like they can help get there. They can help get you
Yes.
there.
It's
So
so true though.
so talk a little bit about some of the things that you and the network and you and the mentors discussed and kind of discovered. So as think of, somebody that's listening to our podcast right now that's thinking about opening a salon, but maybe they don't know the first step or even who to reach out in the network.
Yeah. So the first step that was really kind of an aha moment for me was, again, the foundation of Paul Mitchell. That was really my connections. That's where I built those connections. We have such a beautiful network of people involved, within our arsenal of Paul Mitchell. And the biggest thing is they're just people. They're people too, and they're people just living their lives, and they're willing to share their experiences, good and bad. So many, like, Tracy Potachek is so incredible in speaking out of her journey along the way, and like, hey, we had a walkout, what can we learn from this? And that to me, I think I really put all of my fears down on paper, right? Like when you go into a business, you have 1,000 fears of, will I fail? Will I have a walkout? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to do this successfully? And I really just bullet pointed all of my fears. And I went through, I spent countless hours on the phone with my mentors of, okay, if this happens, what do I do? And, all of them were so supportive into saying, it might happen, and there's probably going to be a point in time that your fears could come true. And it's the baseline of having the support system and the knowledge and the education to be able to move past those. And what are you going to learn from this? How are you going to move forward? And how are you going to become better, bigger, and stronger because of those hardships? And I really think that was kind of my aha moment, that you probably will fail once or twice, and that's okay, but what are you going to do to pick yourself up?
I love that you talked about, failures, because they're always they're always going to happen, especially
Always.
being a business owner. It's inevitable. So
Mhm.
since you've had your salon open for a year, congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
What are some of those fears that you wrote down on paper that have probably at least one has come into actuality as being an owner?
Money. And that's just the honest to God truth. It's like, you think in your head that you have, because you have to create a budget for yourself. Okay, I'm here, we need to be here. um it is always going to be more than what you anticipate. And even like the little things, because for me, I want to again create a space for my team, so there's certain things that I provide for my team that I've had to budget accordingly for. And you will never have enough money, you'll never have it's just life, right? But I think that was kind of my biggest aha, that I was like, okay, we're going to do this, it's going to be great. And you come into business ownership and you're like, it's going to be amazing and it's going to be profitable from the get-go. But my fear was, I was like, can I sustain this? Can I do this? If I don't have a team backing this up, is this going to be reality? And so I think allowing myself to explore those fears and be realistic with those fears, and again, set the people up for success to help me. So I brought accountants in, I brought people in, like, this isn't my strong suit. I need you to help me. And I think just outsourcing my fears to other people, which I know sounds terrible, but outsourcing my fears to at least get help and how to do it successfully. Because I'm an artist. This is what we do. We're artsy and creative, and money and numbers are not my thing, but they had to be. They had to become my thing. And that was my biggest fear, was it would keep me up at night. I was like, oh my God, if I fail, then what? If I fail, then what? If I don't have enough, then what? And so it was allowing myself to understand those fears and why they are the way they are, and what am I going to do to change it.
Absolutely. You mentioned sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key right there, is that we all can go into it. We're gonna do all this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and then it slowly trickles down, and it's not the same. So how have you managed to sustain that? What are some things that you've put into place to make sure that you can sustain that same level?
Time and making things a priority. We're so quick to be, we live our life by the 30-minute marker, right? As hairstylists behind the chair, by the hour marker. And it really became of, how can I break this down to a working hour? How can I break my team down to the working hour? And how can I break it down to be able to make itself work? And so I think being able to take a step back, take a breather, and know that if we take the time to prioritize what we need to prioritize, then we will be sustainable. You just have to make it a priority.
Speaking of priorities, what would you say are your top 5 priorities when you look at sustainability and the success of your salon? What are those top 5 priorities that you focus on?
Um, the first one is communication, not only with my mentors, but with my team. I want to make sure that my team never feels that they can't come up to me and ask me a question, or how can we move forward? How can I be a better person? How can I be a better designer? How can I be better for my community and for my team and our guests? So first one is definitely communication. I think second would definitely have to be taking the time for yourself to understand what your business is and how you're going to keep your culture alive. And that kind of swings into the third of having a healthy culture and developing a healthy culture and really understanding what your foundation means. You have to have that from the get-go, or else it's going to be this revolving door of questions. And why is this not working? Why is this not moving the way I thought it was going to work? And I really think, communication, time, and a healthy culture that's what's going to bring your foundation for success and keep you moving.
Couldn't agree more. Another thing that we talk about in Next Level is communication. So how are the ways that you've built to communicate with your team?
So I don't think I'm traditional in the sense of like, hey, let's sit down and have our monthly meetings, or hey, let's sit down. And I'm a little untraditional in that respect, because I do feel like our time is so valuable, and especially, our team members, we're all moms, we're wives, we're partners, we all have so many different things. But I really like to be just involved with my team on a daily basis. So I'm still a stylist behind the chair full time, and I like to be on the floor with my team. I think that's when you truly understand someone's authentic self, is the way they work and the way that they give themselves to their guests and for the salon as a whole. And so for me, being a part of it every single day is where I can talk to my team.
Absolutely. When you talked about taking the time to understand your business as an owner, what were those areas that you had to step back and take that time to really understand? Because we have a lot of owners that are full-time behind the chair, and they find it hard. Like we'll be talking to them like, let's talk about your profit and loss statement. They've never seen it. It's
For
not a
sure.
thing. Like it's not a thing. They're just busy behind the chair, and it's just
Yeah.
always worked.
Yeah.
And after we went through like the pandemic, the old way of doing things has shifted. We even the hiring process, and
For sure.
it's definitely different. So what are some of those things that, you had to take the time? Because I love that you said that, because that is the most valuable thing we have, but to take that time to really focus on the areas of your business. So what were those areas that you focused on?
I think we came into this kind of at a really special time, because I don't know any other way in that respect of having a bigger business, right? Like I've always been a booth renter. I've been a renter for years, so it's like I know the small scale version of what that looks like. But coming into salon ownership during one of the hardest times we can ever imagine, especially in our lifetime. No one will ever live through what we went through.
Mhm.
And so I think allowing myself, um, you know, I, just for an example, right? Like you were saying, so many salon owners come into it and say, like, hey, I don't know what my profit and loss statement is. I don't know what my sales are. I don't know what my net income is. And that was, and I swear to you, this just happened yesterday, that I was able to have full clearance in my like accounting stuff. And money has always been scared for like a scary point for me. And because I don't want to fail, because it's not just me anymore, it's everyone else depending on me to succeed. Other people's livelihood is depending on me to succeed. And I mean, these are the fears that would literally keep me up at night. And so I think just allowing yourself to outsource the areas that you know you're not going to be do well in, that was kind of a big aha for me. I have major control issues. I will be the first to admit it, that I don't like to relinquish control. However, it wasn't about me at this point. It was about everyone else that I brought in and that chose to be here. They're counting on me for their success. And so I think just taking the time to outsource those opportunities that I know I'm not going to do well in, and to make sure that we are set up for success from the get-go.
By outsourcing the areas, and I love that you're so transparent about that. Like, I don't know this. Like, here you go. Like, and a lot of times that's so much better for time reasons. Because yes, we all can learn it, but if you can get somebody in your corner that's an expert at it, do it.
Yes.
Do it.
It's so true. And like spending a little extra, and I know it's hard because we're working so hard. Like, of course you want to build a profit when you're a salon, like a business owner. Of course that's the end goal. However, these aren't the things I excel at. Again, numbers aren't my thing. They had to become my thing. So I work hand in hand, with my team and my accounting team to make sure I know why this is the way it is. So they're educating me, and that way I'm able to bring to my team a more successful environment for them to work in. I had to do that. There was no other choice. Because it would keep me up at night of like, okay, this number's here. Why is this number here? Why is this not lining up here? And I was like, I can't do this. I'm gonna throw it in the towel.
Talk about how building that relationship with your accountant has really helped you overcome the fear of money, because a lot of times um, it's about finding the right accountant.
For sure. For sure. I was able to bring in someone that knows me personally. She knows my family personally, which I'm very fortunate of. She's one of my team members. Mothers actually, so she knows the importance of what I do and why I have to succeed because it's truly the livelihood of her own child. And so I'm able to not only bring success to her, but she's also here to help me. So like we would go through everything together. And I'm not kidding. When I say I recently outsourced because I was scared, that's what I had to do. And so she was able to come in and build a foundation with me to really set my future up to be the next level. And she was able to talk me through things that I'm like, I don't know what this means. What's the definition of this? And I'm sitting here Googling what reconciling means and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's not my strong suit. And so she really, really took the time to break things down and say, you need to be here. You're here. You need to be here. This is the map. This is the roadmap that's going to get you to the next place. And I'm so appreciative of that because that's her time. That's her value. And she was able to come in and really help me.
I love that, and I want to talk about. Um, you mentioned something right in the beginning, that you're fully staffed. That in this day and age is not a word we hear very often anymore. Um,
I
and
know.
every conversation that Tina and I have with salon owners, it always goes back to hiring. What can we do? How can we get more? How can, so I love that you were like, yeah, I'm fully staffed. I'm like, what? That's awesome. So so talk about the steps that you like, how? Like I want to know how.
Honestly, I'm so fortunate that my team, my stylists approached me. They knew the culture that I was developing, and it really was word of mouth. I mean, it started with me and one other stylist, and we worked on opposite days just to keep the salon open, like just to keep lights on. I would work. I didn't see another soul in here for like days on end. Every once in a while, we'd have a Saturday where we were working together, but it was super tough at the get-go. And I was like, okay, we need to do something different. And so at that point, I really, we started with our Facebook posts and our interactions that way. I'm like, okay, let's do lives. Let's get our name and our brand out there. And from that point on, it was so just truly incredible the outreach that other stylists approached us with. And every reservation that I was able to hear and listen to what these stylists had was a very similar story to mine as to why I had to make the change that I did. The biggest thing that they wanted was just to feel value and just to feel that their worth is so special because it is. They're their foundation of what we do. And, to allow my stylist. So I have a team of booth renters, and I chose that path. And I know it's a little different for everyone, but for me, I chose that path because I truly want everyone to feel that they can control their business. They can control what they do behind the chair every single day. And I wanted to create a safe space for them to do that and for them to move themselves to the next level. So really, I'm so grateful that they approached us after seeing our social media posts. And I would put flyers all around town and really allowing them the opportunity to see what culture actually means and that they have a safe place to be.
Talk about the power of social media and what it did for you. What were some of those posts that attracted people to you and your salon?
We actually, the very get-go, it just came up on my time hub actually today that we ended up doing a photo shoot. And it was an expense that I chose to make at the very get-go because I wanted people to see the space that I created. It's different. It's different than anything else in our town. I mean, any little town you can see there's a salon and a rock's throw, if you will. And so I wanted to give everyone a vision of what our space is and how can you contribute to it. And so we did a photo shoot and it was just a couple of us. It was so small, but we had the most fun and we blasted that also all over social media to allow people to see what our environment is. And we did posts of like just engagement posts like, okay, if we did a tutorial on this, is this something that you would love? Okay, let's do a tutorial here. Or we do product of the week, or we do social media has truly become the railway to the next level. And it's so hard because social media is everything. We have to be relevant on social media. It's not a time and place anymore where people are not on social media. So it's like, okay, we had to make a decision. We have to be present. We have to do daily posts and action-packed things where guests can be involved on a daily basis. And so social media is a huge portion of what we have to do to succeed in this day and age.
To help you stay relevant on social media, is it just you doing it? Does your team help you? Do you have somebody that
Absolutely.
does it?
Yes, yeah. So I was, again, my control issues, I was attempting to do all of it from the get-go. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So one of my team members who was on me from, or with me from the get-go, we both left our old salon together the very same day. We walked out the same day, hand in hand, like, let's conquer this thing, let's do this. And she came up to me and she says, how can I help you? How can I be a part of this and not allow you to be super stressed out? And I said, can you handle social media? And she is a rock star. So all of my team has access to our social media accounts. And they essentially will send all of their work to, her name's Holly. They will send their work to Holly, and she will do these incredible posts. She does product of the week. She does contests. She does engagement. She does, pictures of what we're doing. Like she's just incredible. I'm so, so grateful that she took that over.
That's awesome to hear, because I think a lot of times we look at our team of, well, they won't necessarily do anything unless we pay them more. And it sounds like she just jumped on board right from the get-go. And in our salons, that's what we have. We have an amazing team as well, that we just present something and somebody's always willing to step up to it. Um, it's crazy how that works out. Like, you're just like, here, anybody want this? And somebody will say yes. And a lot of times it goes back to the fears that you were talking about, that people are
Exactly.
gonna
Yeah,
ask for more money, or they're
yeah,
gonna expect this, or and
absolutely.
it, so talk a little bit. I'm sure that there's other stylists in your salon. It sounds like you have a great team
Yeah,
that
we
have
do.
stepped up to other areas instead of just
Absolutely.
behind the chair.
Absolutely. I think it really does go down to um just people being people, and people wanting to be valued, and people wanting to be appreciated, and simply, even the simplest of things is saying, how are you? How are you truly as a person? What can I do to help you? And I think it truly makes a difference in that respect of people are willing to do more when they know they're of value and they're appreciated, and them as a person is appreciated and valued. I'm very lucky, very lucky.
Perfectly put. uh, I want to go back and touch just a little bit more on culture.
Mhm.
And what does that mean to you specifically? Because you referred to it as healthy culture.
Yeah,
So what
I
what does
think to me, healthy culture means creating a foundation of sustainability, of trust, of respect, of belief, of value as a whole. And when I was able to paint that picture of culture, like if you Google what culture means, culture is to be able to set a foundation of beliefs for your company as a whole. And so from the get-go, I have never strayed away from what that looks like and from what that picture looks like, of allowing everyone to feel love and allowing everyone to feel their best and allowing everyone to have a safe space to, and it could make me cry because it's something I so wholeheartedly believe in. Um, our belief system is that everyone is equal, and everyone is special, and everyone deserves to feel their best.
That's amazing. What are some of the ways that you make sure that that's happening, that you make sure that everybody's feeling loved, and you're building that trust? Because that's so crucial, because we get into the hustle and bustle, that we're just behind the chair. We get here, we take our clients, and we leave.
Yeah, in and out, right? Like in and out. And I know it sounds crazy, but even the simplest of like when a stylist walks in for the day, because we're all renters. You can come and go as you please to whatever fits your schedule. And for us here in specific, we're all mommies, we're all partners, we are all super busy, but we all are so passionate about one thing, and that's being here and serving our guests and to allow our guests to feel their best. And so for me, it's just taking, again, going back to the time and going back to the communication of really sitting down with them, just even in a quick passerby while we're eating lunch, and just saying, hi, how are you? Or how's your day? What can I help with? What's your day look like? How was your weekend? I think it's just allowing them to be them and allow themselves to flourish in a way that maybe they felt constricted or restricted to do so in the past. And allowing them to be just a free person. Just do you, do your best, do it well. Um, Serve your community, serve your guests, serve your family, just be a rock star that you are. It's my job to let that shine. And I think I've truly allowed my team to be the best version of themselves.
What you just talked about was servant leadership. Where did you learn that?
I I really think it was from just my own experiences as just a person in the work field, and only ever feeling like a number, and only ever feeling like my value was to be there for someone else, and it wasn't a value of myself. There were so many times in my path that I was ridiculed for the silliest of things, of what I looked like, of what I wore, of what I represented myself to be. It was never good enough. And I vowed to myself that I would never allow another human being to feel that way, ever.
Wow. You are truly, truly amazing, Kelsey.
Don't make me cry, Sean.
I'm so glad we were able to hang out for sure. How can people find you, find your salon to find more about you?
Yeah, so we are all on social media, myself, my team, my salon, Infinite Designs, hair studio. We just love to love, and we just love to value our guests and who gets to experience us as a whole when they walk through our doors. And I encourage everyone just to come in and say hi. We would
What
love
is
to
the
have you.
what is the last piece of advice you want to leave our listeners with?
Always strive to be the best version of yourself because you deserve it.
I love that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I had such a great time connecting and just hearing all the beautiful things that you're doing.
Thank you, Sean. I so appreciate your time, and please give my love to Tina.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.